Big breaking news out of San Francisco, and obviously I couldn't let this one get by me. Overdose deaths far outpace COVID-19 deaths in San Francisco. From the SF Gate by way of my favorite people, the Associated Press. And there's a handful of things wrong with this. First and foremost, on this website here, they have the other popular trending articles, and the first two are, thinking of gathering indoors? Here's how fast COVID can spread. And the other one, hospital apologizes after doctors protest administrator vaccines. So it's nothing but fear-mongering on top of fear-mongering, and it's also hilarious that we continue to call these people doctors when obviously they're activists. I mean, did you just cut and run on the dying patients inside the hospital to paint a sign and march around outside of the hospital? It's absolute insanity. And so we've got 621 deaths by overdose as compared to 173 deaths from COVID-19 in San Francisco, I think through November of this year. So from whenever the virus started, and obviously we don't really know when the virus started, just depends on what the media will tell you. But either way, these numbers should be much closer, because I think we can all assume that the people using these opioids or meth or whatever it is aren't the perfect picture of hygiene, right? So if you're outside, at a bus stop shooting up heroin, are you really washing your hands constantly and social distancing and using your mask? But I'm sure the people in the media would have you believe that, well, masks do save lives. So no matter how much heroin you shoot in your arm, the mask will save you from getting COVID. So, okay. So we got San Francisco, doubling down on these lockdowns. They're now quarantining people who fly into San Francisco International. They're pushing the vaccine really heavy as though that's going to save you, and people aren't passing out and having adverse reactions all over the place. They're, in the media, on social media, I should say, you can't even talk about HCQ. But as all that's happening, they're praising narcan. So even though the overdose deaths in San Francisco are far greater than the COVID-19 deaths, they go on to say that the overdose deaths would have been worse if it weren't for the 3,000 times Narcan was used between January and November. So they're telling you up front that I know that the overdoses are way worse than the COVID, but the overdoses would have been way worse if it weren't for Narcan. And I've already done a little video about Narcan and how it's killing New York. What's the message?
Yeah, we're doing an naloxone training.
What's that?
Naloxone is an opioid overdose reversal medication.
Oh, y'all, what? For opioids?
Yeah. So
that's the message, is about opioids?
Well, we're doing a training for if people overdose, how to reverse it.
What does opioid overdose have to do with this?
I think that this is a conversation to have later, maybe.
What the? But here it is. We know that Narcan is being pushed by the Soros family and the Open Societies Foundation, but they still want to paint it in these articles as though it's some life-saving thing, when clearly, even with that, the overdoses are far worse than the COVID, but yet they still push lockdown and quarantine and demonize HCQ. I don't even know what to make of this. They also say that last year, 2019, there was 441 overdose deaths, and there were 2,610 lives saved by Narcan. So no matter what happens, they will continue to push this Narcan as though it's the end-all, be-all savior of all the junkies out there. But when you want to even say the letters HCQ, you basically get wiped off the internet. There's also an article from USA Today, which is absolutely awful as well. And they say, will San Francisco, New York, and other major cities recover after the pandemic or whatever? And the short answer is no, they will not recover, because this is done on purpose, right? Now, California is going into another 3-week lockdown. They don't want people to recover. I think that has become abundantly clear. And they talk about, San Francisco has great riches, but also mass inequality. San Francisco is such a phony socialist utopia. It's absolutely hilarious. They pretend like everybody's welcome and we're going to help everybody, but it costs you, $4,000 to live in a studio apartment in San Francisco. And then they go on to say, well, politicians need to turn their attention to the poor and people of color because that's who's being most affected or disproportionately affected. That's what they always like to say. And the Biden-Harris administration is really going to have to tackle this, but, Mitch McConnell might stop them. Now, I'm no fan of Mitch McConnell, but it's par for the course. It's so predictable how these people will praise these Democratic politicians and say, well, everything would be going good, but Mitch McConnell is blocking it all up, completely ignoring Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the left-wing hacks over there trying to make everybody's life a living hell. They also go on to say that the post-pandemic, post-vaccine big cities are going to be more green and less expensive. So in one article, they're trying to claim that naloxone and or narcan is saving you, even though quite literally the overdoses are still way worse than the virus deaths. And on the other side, they're saying, well, basically this virus socialism that we're trying to implement is going to save you a lot of money and it's going to be way more green.
Man, you got some money or not?
Oh, man, come on, man. What hooked me up this time?
Nigga, you crazy. Hook you up. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Check this out, man. I got these burgers, man. They some double cheeseburgers.
Nigga, I just ate.
One,
man, I just
Come on.
ate. Fool, I don't want no motherfucking cheeseburger. If you ain't got no money, you just assed out.
Call this motherfucker.
Yo, dog, hurry up!
Fuck.
Come on, man. Wait, man. Man, I'll suck your dick. Come on, man. Just hook me up.
What the fuck you just say, nigga?
Man, I said I'll suck your dick. Come on, man. Let's get the
Fuck.
Damn.
Suck on that, you bitch-ass trick.
Oh, dog, what the fuck you doing?
Yo, dog, hurry up!
Any of y'all want a hamburger?